Okay. This is a video I've been sitting on doing for about a week or two-ish. I don't know, but I am a humongous Green Arrow fan. I love Green Arrow. Green Arrow's my favorite superhero out of all of them in the world. I think he's just a fantastic character. I think he's got a great personality. His skill set is awesome. I love the way he interacts with the DC universe. I think he's a fantastic character. And the reason why I like Green Arrow so much is because of the show Arrow. The first season introduced me to this character, a character that I never like. I had known who Green Arrow was, and I played like Justice League Heroes. He was one of the unlockable characters in there. And I'd seen like Justice League Unlimited and stuff like that. Like I knew who he was, but I never really took him seriously as a character. He always made jokes, and he always he's the guy with the bow. He's whatever. Then I watched. Then the trailer came for the first season of Arrow, and I'm like, "Is that Green Arrow? What the fuck is that thing? That looks so cool!" And I watched the show, and I'm like, "This is badass. This is some awesome shit. I want to read something." So I bought some Green Arrow comics. I bought Green Arrow Year One. I bought Longbow Hunters, and stuff like that. Yeah, and I started reading up on this character. I kept reading. I read through the whole Judd Winick run. My friend Scott lent all of those to me, and he, he's become my favorite superhero. Plain and simple. Arrow went from season 1. I love. On a previous channel that I had, I talked about season 1. How much I love season 1. Season 1 is a fantastic opening season for a show. And it's a really entertaining show, and it definitely grounds itself, but it definitely has its comic sensibilities. Cut to season 2, which is one of the best seasons of television I've ever watched personally. I love season 2 of Arrow. I think it's better than the first season, and it's just fantastic. It's the best season out of all of the CW universe movies of the 3. Season 2 of Arrow is my favorite season out of all of them. Cut season 3. Season 3 is garbage. Season 3 of Arrow, it's painful. It's painful to watch because it just made it completely evident that the writers of the show desperately wanted to make a Batman television show. And because of the fact that Batman is a big A-list character, they couldn't. And DC has certain rules where you can't use certain characters and stuff. Well, so they're like, fuck it, let's make Arrow basically Batman. And I'm well aware that he started out as basically a Batman clone mixed with Robin Hood. But that's not the character now. The character is very different now. But they gave him an actual Batman story. That's the most offensive part, is they gave him an actual Batman story. Obviously, switched around and some things were changed, but it's definitely a Batman story. They definitely drew heavily from this Batman story about Ra's al Ghul trying to recruit Batman to be his heir. It's Oliver Queen instead in the show, and that's fucking stupid. I'm just gonna say that. You have such a, and the worst part is that season 3 had a big chunk of Green Arrow's actual rogues gallery in it, and they wasted them in one-off episodes. They've had two Count Vertigos now, and they've wasted both of them. They've both been bad. They had Brick, which I didn't hate Brick. I thought Vinnie Jones did a good job. He's not exactly the Brick that I would have wanted to see, but he definitely brought that street sensibility, and I believed him as a physical threat to Team Arrow. But they wasted him in 3 episodes, and then he hasn't been back since. He's just been gone. I don't know if he's dead or not. I have no idea. If he's dead, I'm even more pissed. But they used up Brick. Brick's one of his most formidable foes. I'm fairly certain if I'm right, I'm fairly certain Solomon Grundy was in season 2. Not as Solomon Grundy, but the I don't remember the name of the character. I don't remember his name, but I'm fairly certain he was in the second season, and he hasn't been there since. He's just gone. Komodo, one of the coolest villains for Green Arrow that I've read. My first exposure to him was in the fourth volume of the New 52 Green Arrow, and he's badass, and he is a foe that tests Green Arrow to his mental and physical limits. That's the kind of villain I want to see for a full season. Wasted him in one episode. Why? So you can use Ra's al Ghul, who is a Batman villain, they're all in the same universe, but I mean he's primarily associated with Batman. I'm fairly certain that's not going to be disputed. He's primarily associated with Batman. And in season 2, they used Deathstroke, who is primarily a Batman or Teen Titans villain. I mean, he definitely. It's not like he only shows up in those, or he shows up everywhere. He shows up all the time. But when I think of Deathstroke, and when most people think of Deathstroke, I think most people think of Teen Titans. But they used him as a villain, and I didn't mind that as much. I didn't mind that as much because they set that up in the first season in a very good way, and they made that whole season. Season 2 was a big payoff season for that whole first season on the island, and they just that was a good villain. I really liked Deathstroke. The first season had a great villain in Dark Archer, Merlin. And he is the most consistent villain. He is the best villain on the show. Hands down, bar none, awesome. Now, this season 4, I really liked season 4 up till now. I thought that they brought levity to the show. They brought a brightness to the show that I was waiting for now 4 years. It was a funny show. Like, they brought comedy in, and it wasn't just Felicity, and it wasn't just Diggle. It was Oliver. Oliver was making jokes. Oliver was feeding into the comedy, and that's a good thing because Oliver in the comics makes jokes. In the show, he's been stoic and brooding, which fine, but there's always also got to be levity from him for him to be identified. For me to see him and be like, yeah, that's Green Arrow. He's got to have some kind of form of levity, and he hasn't. He has brief moments, but he hasn't had a consistent. He hasn't had any consistent basis, especially in season 3. In season 3, he was brooding basically the entire time. Cut to the season. The villain of the season is Damien Darhk. I'm talking about what I like about the season so far. Damien Darhk is a good villain. I really like him. He is another villain that was stolen from Teen Titans. But Neil McDonough, or I don't know how you pronounce his name. I don't want to pronounce his name wrong, but Damien Darhk. The person who plays Damien Darhk in the show. He is really good. He's definitely relishing in being a bad guy, and he's having fun, and I'm glad, because you could totally feel it on screen. You could feel him. And he's a menacing villain. He's not a bad villain. I really like him. I like the suit, the new upgrade to the suit, because I wasn't a big fan of the Arrow costume with the full leather jacket. I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a big fan. The new suit is really good. It's definitely New 52 inspired, and also that suit is basically the suit that is happening in DC Rebirth. That is literally the suit that Green Arrow's wearing, plus a goatee, which I'm okay with. Stephen Amell is proving more and more he is a really good actor, and I think he's a good choice for Oliver Queen. I don't think he's a bad choice. I think the problem is that the writers don't know what to do with a Green Arrow show. They're so desperately trying to make a Batman show. At least last season, they really desperately tried to make a Batman show, and that's not Green Arrow. It's like they don't understand who Green Arrow is. And I'm not saying that they've never read a comic in their life. And I'm not saying that they've never read a Green Arrow comic in their life. I'm not saying that they don't know who it is, but they don't. It seems to me like they have no interest in actually adapting that character. It seems like they're trying to do their own thing. And while that's fine, I think even in adaptation, there are certain things that you have to keep. Just to identify the character as that character. If you're going to make him Oliver Queen on Prime Earth, in the show, it's Prime Earth. You gotta have certain things. There's certain things you really gotta have, And that's, you got to have a sense of humor. You have to have that. You have to have him be an orphan. He wasn't an orphan in the entire show. Thea's still alive. And you got to have, I'm telling you have to have Dinah Laurel Lance. You have to have Black Canary. You have to. You can't kill her, and they killed her. That is the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Last season was bad. Awful season. There were episodes, admittedly, I'm not going to say the entire season was a train wreck. There were episodes I did enjoy in season 3. Season 4 was awesome. Awesome up until now. But season 3 was so bad. And so misrepresented the character. That this one instance, this one thing they decided to do, broke it for me. And honestly, I'm going to finish the season. I'm going to finish season 4. Because I'm here anyways. It's only like 4 or 5 more episodes left. I'm going to finish the season, but if I'm going to be completely honest, if I don't see a good indication that Laurel Lance is not dead, or if by the end of the season she is not alive, I am done. I'm done watching the show. Because I know that I'm going to come off as a big fanboy right now. I understand that. I will apologize in advance for coming off as a Green Arrow fanboy, as somebody who wants some form of cohesiveness to that character. I know I'm going to come off like that. I get it. If you like the show Arrow, if you like their decisions, if you like that, I'm not going to shame you guys for that. That's fine. I'm glad you like the show. I'm glad that it works for you. But I'm not the only Green Arrow fan who's upset by this, and I'm also, as a Green Arrow fan, there are also Green Arrow fans who don't care, and that's fine. It's great for them too. I mean, maybe some people are able to accept that more and are able to look at it more as an adaptation, a different version of the story. That's fine. That's good for them. For me, something that's important to that character, at least for me, is Dinah Laurel Lance. Is Dinah Lance the Black Canary? Somebody who shapes Oliver Queen as a person more than anybody in the entire Green Arrow family. She is so important to him as a person that she's his anchor. He needs her. To take her away, and I know they're going in a different direction. I know they're pushing Felicity, and if I'm going to be completely honest, for 2.5 seasons, I was pushing for it too. I wanted them to get together. I at that point, I was like, yeah, I want them to get together. But in my mind, I'm like, but she's obviously a stepping stone to Laurel, to Dinah. She should be. She should have been just a stepping stone. You don't want to have you have to have some kind of romantic tension between somebody in the main lead. You have to have some kind of a relationship there. It can't just be static. I understand that. It's fine. And I was pulling for the Felicity relationship. I like Felicity. It's great. I love Felicity. But it looks, and they said that it's not, but it looks like the end game they're going for is Felicity now. And that irritates the fuck out of me. I'm not opposed to changing things. But to me, there are things you don't change to make that character identifiable as that character. And it's just a personal thing. Like I said before, if you like the show, I'm glad. I'm glad you like the show. I'm glad you enjoy. I'm glad you're okay with it. There's so many people who hate Laurel in the show, and I don't blame them for that. In season 2, she was awful. I couldn't stand her in season 2, and I couldn't stand her for part of the way through season 3 either. There was a midway point where I was like, you know what, Laurel's coming up. And in season 4, she's been going up. I loved her in this season. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter now unless they decide to pull a bait and switch. I hope they do. I really hope they pull a bait and switch. Usually I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed if they did that because it's something like with the Marvel Cinematic Universe where they kill people, but they don't really kill them. Same thing with the TV show. They kill them, they don't really kill them. But it makes death meaningless on the show. And they've done it already, 3 or 4 times with Sarah. With Sarah Lance, a made-up character. Which I'm fine with, whatever. But they did it 3 or 4 times with Sarah. Where they killed her. She's not really dead. Kill her again. She's not really dead. Kill her again. he's not really dead. But now she's back to life, and now she's on Legends of Tomorrow. And that's the show, by the way, I really like. I really like Legends of Tomorrow. And she's really good on the show. I'm glad she's alive. But at the same time, it makes death meaningless. And I hope there's some spring in the Lazarus Pit, because I'm fairly certain they destroyed the Lazarus Pit. I hope there's one little spring left where they're going to dip her body into it and she's going to come back to life. I don't care if she's crazy for a little bit, just as long as she's alive. But I don't see that happening. The writers of the show seem pretty definite on her staying dead. That this was their decision and they decided to commit to it. And, it's a ballsy move. It's a shot in the dark, ballsy shot. And for a lot of the fans, it stuck. The people definitely liked it, but for me, I can't. For the way that I see Green Arrow as a character, and the way that I see it's obviously, again, it's personal. It's not. This isn't objective. This is subjective. When I see Green Arrow as a character, I can't see Green Arrow very well without Laurel Lance. Laurel Lance is a very important character to him, and she's one of those aspects about him that you need in the show. Something like another thing that Arrow's been doing wrong is they need Roy Harper. They really need Roy Harper in that show, because discount Mia Dearden, Thea Queen isn't doing it for me. I was praying to God she was the one who was going to die. I think Willa Holland is awesome. I think she's beautiful. But her character, it's not her fault. Her character is poorly written. I wanted her to die. I wanted Laurel to stay, and I wanted Laurel, because Thea, to me, it's like, yeah, I wanted her to die, but I know you can improve the character. Same thing with Laurel. People wanted her to die so badly because they just thought she was a bad character, or she was annoying, or she was whiny. But that's a thing you can improve. You can make a character better. But they just killed her instead. And I get it. This is literally for shock value. It was something that before that night wasn't expected. I never thought that there was any possibility that she was going to die. I never thought. I was never afraid when they said who's in the grave. I was never afraid that it was going to be Laurel. I had zero fear for that. I thought it was going to be Thea. I really wanted it to be Thea. And even despite just disregarding the fact that I don't like Thea as a character, that would have been an emotional death for Oliver. Or if you killed Diggle, especially if it was Andy killing Diggle. If it was Andy killing John Diggle, that would have been really emotional. It's brother killing a brother. That would have been super emotional for Oliver because they're best friends. I didn't feel any emotion while watching Laurel die, especially because when she did die, like in the scenes leading up to it, they totally dropped hardcore cliches and they went from foreshadowing to basically telling the audience that she's toast. And then you had to do a bait and switch thing where they're like, yeah, she's not really dead, but she's gonna have a random seizure and die. As a Green Arrow fan that has this certain this certain outlook on the character, I can't consciously keep watching this show because last season was so disastrous that they just, to me, it just seems like they don't know what they're doing, and I say that kind of sad because I really liked Arrow. I like Arrow season 1 and 2, two of the greatest seasons of television I've seen in a long time. I loved Arrow. And I loved season 4 until now, and it's sad because to me it's the death of a show that got me hooked on superheroes, back into superheroes. I had been kind of removed from that for a while, and as soon as all it took was one bad season and one moment, one terrible mistake, and it was gone for me. For a character that's so important to me, I can't watch this show shit all over him anymore. I can't do it. If you enjoy the show, I'm glad. I'm glad you like it. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong for liking the show. It's all subjective. It's, everybody has their certain preferences, but to me, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I will still watch The Flash, and I'll still watch Legends of Tomorrow. And I will finish this season of Arrow. But as of right now, I don't plan on watching season 5. no matter how interested I am to see what's going on the island. I just can't do it. So that's my thoughts. If you guys have anything to say about Arrow, or you have any disappointing stories about a superhero that you feel got the shaft, drop them in the comments. I'm very disappointed right now. I don't even know what to say. I'm really disappointed. All right, so I'm gonna go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, favorite, subscribe, and keep staying nerdy, guys.